Why does it fuck you up?
I don't know. It's like I can't write in a set format, I guess, unless it's like writing in like story format. You know what I mean?
So you want to talk about another fuck up or how this trip that you took?
Like, what are we talking about?
We're talking
about drugs and connection to art.
Yeah, but maybe as a point of departure, you had a very, very intense experience, right?
Yeah.
This past weekend with shrooms.
Yeah, it's my first time doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do like stuff of that nature that much, so that was my first time doing it. And we took a hell of a lot more than we were planning on.
Yeah.
And we took them, and I don't know if you've done them before. But, like, what we do is we, like, put them on like pizza and shit and eat it. And it started out really good, and I was sitting there, and I was like on the computer, and I was going through like all these pictures of Gustav Klimt's like art.
By the way, did you pick these shrooms yourselves?
No, we bought them.
Okay.
Yeah, bought them for $50 for a little more than a half, or no, it was like a half and then an eighth for 3 people. But then the third person dropped out, so we just decided to take it all, and that's probably a bad idea. But yeah, I was just sitting there on the computer, and I was like looking at the art of Gustav Klimt. I was listening to a like an orchestral piece by a guy named Shiro Sugisu, and it was awesome. It's like when you do them, you have like you're able to connect with yourself a lot better. It's a very introspective like trip, and you feel more connected with not only yourself but with like nature and with the universe and stuff like that. And everything went really well for a while, for like the most part. But then our sitters, who are the guys who were sober, decided they wanted to leave. So they left me and my friend, and both of us were tripping. They left us alone in like this house that I'd only been in a few times. And we just sat there and we tried to keep things cool, and we talked a lot. And then things started to get dark. Like it felt like the lights around me were like getting darker and dimmer. And I remember just thinking that I know that things are starting to get bad, so I tried to like heighten the mood some, but nothing worked. And my friend had just had an argument with his girlfriend beforehand, so that was messing with him, and he kept freaking out thinking that she was like breaking up with him or something. And he was running around the house freaking out. And then I can't remember what all happened, but everything was just getting quiet, and I was just sitting there like on the couch, and I felt really, really, really tired, and I couldn't keep my eyes open. And things just got really bad from there. And I started thinking about like a continuous occurrence, like what you were talking about in class, like reincarnation, stuff like that. And then I was stuck like in a cycle, and I couldn't get out. And then I couldn't remember what things were like before I was tripping. Like I felt like I had no connection to reality anymore. And then I couldn't figure out if I was like a real entity anymore, and I couldn't figure out how to prove my own existence. I couldn't figure anything out. At one point I thought I was someone else's dream. And then another time I finally got it through my head. I got on the computer and I went on Facebook, because before I tried calling my friends with my phone, but my phone was dead. It died halfway through a call, so I had no connection to anyone there. I went on like Facebook and went on the chat, and I found people to talk to. I just tried talking with them, but they kept logging off. Like I kept finding a new person, and then finally everyone was just off, and I just felt disconnected from everything. And I just kept thinking that stories I'd heard about people who had bad trips had like been stuck in comas or stuff like that, and I just thought that I was in a coma. And I came to terms with that. Like came to terms with the fact that I was like pretty much dead. And I just accepted all that fact, and I just sat there thinking about it for about an hour, just that I was dead, and trying to prove to myself that I wasn't, but I couldn't find any facts to support it. Then my friend was still freaking out, and he was running around. He felt cold, so he sat on like a heater, and then something happened where he thought he was bleeding, but he really wasn't, and he thought that he was going to die, and he couldn't figure out if he was or not. So he was talking about killing himself to prove that he was alive. And I got him to stop that and just lay down. And finally he got a hold of his girlfriend, and then our sitters came back, and things just got better from there. And then things continue on a normal path. And that is my story about my bad trip.
Now, is there any connection with the fact that these people, the sitters, you said, that they left and they got worse, and then they came back and got better?
Well, I think things would have continued to get worse had they been there, but having them there would have been a connection to reality, and I wouldn't have freaked out as much trying to get a hold of someone and trying to prove myself that I wasn't always going to be in this trip. Like, one of the things is I couldn't tell if it was ever going to end. Like, I thought, at one point I was thinking, okay, I'll fall asleep and I'll wake up and be okay. Then I thought, how can I tell if I'm asleep? Or how can I tell if I've woken up already? And I thought that maybe this is how it's always been, and that I've never been connected with reality. And it's just a continuous cycle of doubt, and I couldn't figure anything out at all.
What, was it terrifying?
Oh yeah, I was scared to death. That's the most scared I've ever been in my life. Just sitting there and thinking that the part where I thought I was in a coma was especially bad. So I just thought I would never be able to get out. And it was terrifying thinking that. And one thing that's really prominent is like bad feelings. Like, if you have a bad feeling, you like escalate like 100 times. Because my friend was talking about he had just recently, or he thought he had cheated on his girlfriend, and he was blaming himself for it, and he was freaking out about that, and that led to me feeling bad as if I'd done something wrong. And then, like, I felt by taking the shrooms I'd done something bad and wrong. So then I started like going through my phone trying to find people, and every single person I found, I felt like I'd wronged them somehow, and it just started to feel like I was getting what I deserved by being stuck in this never-ending like cycle of not being in reality. And it just felt like everything was justified, and I was getting like my just desserts, and that was terrifying to think that I would never be able to get back to reality.
How did you finally come to terms with your own death?
I'm not really sure, because like with me, I don't panic about stuff usually. I'm usually pretty calm and cool about things. And I was just sitting there thinking that I was dead, and that's what had happened. And these were like those last few seconds of your life before you're gone. And I just sat there thinking that, well, this is it, and I'm finished. And then I thought, if this is how it's going to be for the rest of eternity, I just tried to think, well, this isn't that bad, that I can deal with this. And I'll just sit there and just think about it, and I just came to terms with the fact that I was gone. I wasn't fighting it anymore. I had accepted it. It was somewhat calming, but still terrifying at the same time, that I had accepted like my fate, I guess.
Do you think Nietzsche would approve of your experience, your acceptance of eternal recurrence?
I'm not sure. Let's see. If you would accept... I'm not sure if he would, because of the fact that I was in a chemically altered state. I'm not sure. Like, I'm unfamiliar with Nietzsche's like experience with chemically altering drugs. But the fact that I'd come to terms with like with my own existence and the uselessness of it, I guess, and stuff like that, I guess that sort of meets what he would be propagating.
Do you think this experience changed your life? Or at least perception about life?
To an extent. Nothing really drastic or anything like that. But it definitely... Doing things like that does make you feel more connected with life, with other people, with nature, and especially with yourself. Going through a trip where you are completely stuck inside your own mind. Like, one of the things is you feel like you are trapped inside yourself and there's no way of getting out. And it's like a journey through your own consciousness. I feel like I understand myself slightly better than I did before. And I don't know if it'll change my life especially, but it'll change my outlook on some things. Like, I feel like I am more connected, and with small things probably won't bother me as much as they used to, I suppose. feels like you're more connected with yourself and with the world as an entirety.
You mean because of the contrast between what you go through under the shroom experience?
Right, yeah.
And then when you come back, you realize you are connected and